Hi there, I'm Jim Zirin. Welcome back to more Conversations in the Digital Age. In the internet space nowadays, all the buzz is about BuzzFeed, which is enjoying its viral moment. BuzzFeed is essentially a news site, but it also features videos, zany lists, and trendy magazine-like content as well. Where's the cash money in BuzzFeed? Of course, like print journalism, the money comes from advertising. Not necessarily banner ads on the site, but promoted articles that BuzzFeed hopes will go viral. What's the way forward for BuzzFeed? Here to tell us is BuzzFeed's president, Greg Coleman. Greg Coleman is one of the most accomplished business executives in the digital space. He joined BuzzFeed in August 2014 after putting points on the board at Yahoo, AOL, and the Huffington Post. Among his many claims to fame, Greg Coleman has played golf with President Bill Clinton and hopefully held Clinton to an honest score. Greg Coleman, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Jim. Great to be here.
Now, first, tell us something about Greg Coleman. You've been at BuzzFeed since August 2014, a little more than a year. But what has been your business history?
I was, for many years, in the more traditional space. So of the unusual leaps, I was at Reader's Digest, that special tiny little magazine published in Chappaqua, New York. I went from Reader's Digest in 2001 to Yahoo out in Silicon Valley. So from a leap from old media to new media, that was a giant bucket of cold water on my face. So the business principles stayed the same, but the landscape were very different and the pace was extremely different. But that brought me to the digital space in 2001. So for the last 14 years, I've lived in that world of pure digital media, marketing, advertising. Everything digital has been my life from then. So it's been quite a learning curve. And the latest tale here at BuzzFeed, it's yet another learning curve in the world of social media.
Now, prior to BuzzFeed, of course, you were the president of the Huffington Post, and the Huffington Post was founded by Arianna Huffington, Ken Lehrer, and Jonah Peretti. Now, yes. Two of them, Peretti and Lehrer, are involved with BuzzFeed. Isn't that right? So in a sense, you've come home.
They are, and after we sold the Huffington Post, when AOL bought us back almost 4 years ago, I was minding my own business, and Kenny Lehrer and Jonah Peretti asked to meet with me, and I would meet with them regularly anyway, and they essentially asked me if I'd like to come back to the family. And I said, what do you mean come back to the family? I thought it was part of the family. And they said, no, do you want to run the business of BuzzFeed? And I knew in a second that that was something that would be very appealing to me. I had been with an amazing company called Criteo after the Huffington Post, which is a ad tech business based in Paris, France. And the ad tech space was interesting. We took Criteo public, but the pull of getting back with my team from the Huffington Post to take BuzzFeed to the next level was something I just couldn't resist. And I'm very happy I made the move.
Now, sometime in 2014, perhaps coinciding with your coming on as president, Peretti detected a shift among advertisers from print to digital. Why did that happen?
So what was quite obvious is that the time spent by the consumers was shifting very quickly to online in all forms. And if you believe that the money, the ad dollars, will always follow the eyeballs, his bet was a pretty good bet. It wasn't a wild bet. But what Jonah did was when he founded the Huffington Post, we took banner ads. when he created BuzzFeed and brought it to the advertising marketplace before I joined, he said, we're not going to take those banner ads. The only form of advertising that we're going to run is what we call native advertising, or sponsored stories with brands integrated in them. He did not want to have the banner ads. And I was an advisor to him at the time, and I challenged him, but it turns out he was right. I knew a lot more about advertising. He knew a lot more about the future. So only accepting native ads on BuzzFeed, both in text format, in story format, as well as video. So the sponsored videos that we do for our customers is the only form of video advertising that we will handle right now.
Now, native advertising immediately brings to mind the advertising agency, because in conventional print advertising, Cadillac hires an advertising agency for a campaign in the 1950s. It was a Mad Men kind of advertising agency. They all had 3 martinis at lunch, and they designed the campaign and they placed the ad. And native advertising, to me anyway, implicates no agency at all. You've cut out the middleman. Is that right?
So you're going to get me in trouble, or you're going to push me to the ends. In fact, BuzzFeed creates all of the advertising ourselves. So we have teams of people on the sponsored post side that do nothing other than take the brand's perspective and the brand brief, and they create the ads ourselves. We do that all in-house. And similarly, out in Los Angeles, where we have what we call BuzzFeed Motion Pictures, we have an entire team devoted to creating branded content. But it's not taking the ad agency out of the mix. We work with them. We work heavily with the media buying agencies that are not responsible for the creative. But then also we have an interesting tightrope to walk, in that with our form of native advertising, we do work with the creative shops, the creative agencies, so that we can get the creative just right. And what just right means for BuzzFeed is, can you create a native ad so interesting that a user shares it? So back when I was at business school, and back when I was at Yahoo, and even when I was at the Huffington Post, the notion that somebody would share an ad with a friend was inconceivable. But today, if you make them interesting enough, they really share them. And the impact of those ads is very significant for the marketer.
Well, we'll get back to sharing in a moment, but is this going to drive advertising agencies out of the business? Because what you suggest is a much lower fee for the advertiser than if they go to an agency and ask them to design a campaign. Isn't that right?
Yeah, so fees so far have not changed. When you have the CEO of the world's largest ad agency, WPP, in Sir Martin Sorrell, recently gave a speech where he said to his team, the world is changing. The content producers, the publishers, are going to start to take over producing the native advertising. And his decree was not, let's stop them and shoot them and threaten them. His decree to his team was, how can we work with them, because it's not going to change. I was really surprised and thrilled to hear that, but that is what's going on. And in order to create an effective experience, we have to understand our audience. And in the case of BuzzFeed, everything we do is rooted in science. First and foremost, BuzzFeed is a technology company. People don't know that. They see our cool content. But everything we produce goes out into the internet, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, and we get data back from not just our editorial content, we get data back from the advertising, and we learn every single day or every single second on how users are embracing it, what they like, what they don't like, and it allows us to tweak the advertising. It allows us to test and learn because we have the technology behind the great content. So we don't have to be right with producing the perfect ad. So Don Draper needed to create an amazing concept, get a great director, great writers, shoot that commercial and show it.
And get the girl in the office.
And get the girl in the office, which he seemed to do regularly. Here, we have really good people as a starting point, but when you can vigorously test and learn, you don't need to nail it in the beginning. You will get there over a few iterations, and that's the magic.
All right, well, according to Advertising Age, employment levels at advertising agencies are higher than they've been in the last 15 years. So it certainly doesn't indicate that advertising agencies are going out of business. Rather, it indicates they're here to stay.
Yeah. So the models have changed, and recently there has been over $30 billion of advertising accounts up for grabs. So there's been a sea change going on, and marketers are demanding more from the agencies for less amount of money. Marketers, whether they be Procter & Gamble or Pepsi or Coke or you name it, they have procurement departments that are not allowing lots and lots of expenses. So the agencies, more than ever, have their feet to the fire to keep costs down and to figure out how to partner with different companies, how to do things differently. We read yesterday that even the great and powerful Procter & Gamble made a massive change with their ad agencies, and they gave the business to E-Comm, which surprised a lot of people. And I can't comment as to why they did that. We all read it in the paper. But today, what we know at BuzzFeed is that in order for an ad to be viewed, an ad to be embraced, for there to be engagement, which is what the marketers want, and then a crazy thing to get that ad shared, we have to have our fingers on the entire process. We have to pack our own chute, so to speak, to make sure that the ads work, but we still do it in conjunction with the agencies.
Well, great lead into sharing, because the old business model, it would seem to me, was you want to attract people to your website and you want as many people as possible to view the website. You seem to be driving people away from the website because you encourage people to share on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter. And so what they do is they find an article, hopefully a promoted article, and then they share it with their friends on Facebook. And every time they do that, that counts as a view. It goes to their friends on Facebook. Every time a friend clicks on the article, that counts as a view. They share with their friends, and pretty soon you have a multiplier effect, and it goes viral. So are you able to charge more for an ad that's gone viral, or is it simply that if an ad goes viral and you can say we now have 1 million views or clicks, that we're going to have more and more advertising? What's the idea?
So to start off with the baseline, if you went back 2.5 years ago, BuzzFeed was delivering a total of about 300 million views per month, 2.5 years ago. Today, we're over 5 billion views per month. And the great majority of that is now video. So
are these unique views, or are these viewers coming
These are
back?
unique views. So the sea change took place, and I mentioned that first and foremost, we're a technology company. The sea change took place many years ago when Jonah Peretti, our founder, said it doesn't matter if people come to our website. It's insignificant. The trick and the thought and the marketing is, how do we serve our content and our advertising where our users are consuming their content? And today, if you talk to my 3 millennials, they're spending most of their time on their handheld device watching videos during primetime TV hours. That's just the fact, and that's a lament for all of the major TV networks. I'm sure with the exception of your show, which everybody watches at the exact time and perfectly. So today, 75% of all those billions of views are consumed off of BuzzFeed.com, where the users are traveling. So for us, when the decision was made, we don't care. Most publishers today still try to drive traffic to their website. it's very futile because you spend a lot of money and it's hard to do that by doing this, taking the website as the launching pad and put content out into the social sphere where the millennials are consuming the content. It's the best way to ensure engagement. It's natural, it's authentic, it's where they're spending their time. So from the advertising standpoint, marketers, they also care about a view. And for them, whether it's on BuzzFeed.com or it's out into the social sphere, it's good enough for them. All of the research, as you might imagine, indicates that if I shared a sponsored story with you, the efficacy of that ad goes higher because a trusted friend said, hey, Jim, I'd like you to read this. You're gonna focus probably a little bit more on that. So the sharing aspect of the advertising is actually better for the advertiser because there's greater engagement and credibility.
Now, you've been quoted as saying that and I think you just said it here, that you're not really a content company, you're a technical company. But
we're both.
But you're both. But it's the content that brings the eyeballs to your website, and it's the content that causes them to want to share it with somebody else. And looking over your content, I mean, you have these articles, I guess you'd say, which you call listicles. 50 ways to leave your lover, 10 places to go on vacation, 9 restaurants in New York, or 9 kinds of cuisine that are good for you. This is something that you've pioneered, isn't it, largely?
Yeah, I mean, it's what the company did. And again, that all goes back to testing and learning what resonated. I forget which one of the TV talk show hosts, late night, they have a segment, just when you think you're running out of listicles, BuzzFeed has created this. And, you know, it's not all we do, but back in the early days when BuzzFeed really launched, you know, and it started about 10 years ago, just as a few people working on in a lab in Chinatown. And then in earnest, when we sold the Huffington Post to AOL, Jonah spent most of his time, all of his time, getting BuzzFeed up, lift off, not competing with Huffington Post. We didn't own them anymore. To be able to take it to that place where we would go from that kind of fun, cute, look at the cats and dogs and puppies and made people smile, look at the listicles, to a point today where we have over 300 journalists around the world covering hard news. On staff. We have 2 Pulitzer Prize winners on our staff covering long-form stories where people that I come into contact with, they remember us as that funny, fun place to go. And now they're very aware that the blend of hard news and also something that we call BuzzFeed Life. So in the world of life, which is broken out into food and to health and to do it yourself, food is our fastest growing category. And if you asked me when I joined almost a year and a half ago if I thought food was going to be a big category for us, both editorially and advertising, I would have said no, I didn't see it. But when we started to test food hacks, we all of a sudden saw the traffic go crazy, and we drilled down and we found out that we hit a pocket and we hit a nerve that we needed to invest in. So food is massive with us today.
Well, you've been quoted as saying that BuzzFeed hits people right between the eyes on stuff they want to share. Now, how do you figure out what somebody wants to share? I mean, do you do marketing research, or is it intuitive, or how does that work?
It's intuitive, but it goes to the testing and learning. So if the value of an edit piece or the value of a sponsored post, we can tell based on past campaigns and the campaigns we're running what is resonating, what is making people share. We also have great partners. So if you take a look at Facebook with their tremendous reach and their incredible ability to target, when our users share on Facebook, if I share a story, you're not going to see everything I share. Facebook knows what you're interested in, and their algorithms will cater to you exactly what you want to see. So some of that will come from me, some of it will come from all of your other friends. But when you have our own technology meeting this amazing gate that Facebook has, and Pinterest, and Twitter, and lots of other companies, it's really amazing to see how miraculously you're going through your newsfeed at Facebook and you look up and go, wow, that was great. That was just what I wanted to see, as opposed to seeing everything. So having partners like Facebook really help us out quite a bit.
What's the largest number of views you've had on a listicle, for example?
So, well, I'll give you one that we have the second version with a company called Purina, Ralston Purina.
They're the sponsor.
They're the sponsor. So in the video world, we did a 2.5-minute video called Dear Kitten, and Dear Kitten got 40 million views. And it's really well done. It's not buy my cat food in your face. It's a story about this cat with a really interesting narration that I wanted to share to people. Purina paid for 1 million views, and they got 40 million. The next one we did is called Puppyhood, and it was only seen on Facebook. We got 80 million views on Facebook for an ad. 80 million views, and they paid for 1 million. Just yesterday, we launched Puppyhood 2, and before it even went out, we did a little pre-testing, it went viral. So the next time you have me come on, I'll tell you how many that generated. So for the marketer, remember, one of the holy grails is, of course, to put a viral pelt on your wall. I had a viral hit. And if you work with us over a period of time, we're going to find something that will really resonate, and in a way to tell that story to allow for a really brilliant marketing to take place at the intersection.
How many views do you need before you think it's gone viral?
Well,
in my world, 500 views, 1,000 views is viral.
Well, when we post this interview on BuzzFeed, you're gonna be larger than primetime primetime TV show, talk shows.
So if you have over 1 million, that's viral.
So yeah, but for every video that we do, we'll guarantee 1 million as a starting point, and we always over-deliver on that. So I would say to go viral, if you do 5 million plus, that's in that genre.
5 million plus. So the incentive for the advertiser is that if the ad goes viral, they get a tremendous premium. They've paid for 1 million and they get 5 million.
They get a huge amount of earned media. But even at 1 million views, it's still a tremendous opportunity and value for them, because they can then use that content and put it on their own website. There are lots of other ways to extend the usage of that intellectual property that we've created for them.
Remember going back to the old print journalism model, John Wanamaker said that when I do an ad, 50% of the money is wasted because I don't know who's reading the ad and who's responding to the ad, and we don't know which half. But here it seems none of it's wasted, because everyone who reads it is by definition interested in the subject matter.
Anybody that shares it certainly has that level of engagement where that statement is true to 100%.
Now let's take the example of 5 million views. What percentage of the 5 million is on Facebook, and what percentage would be on the home BuzzFeed site?
So I think to answer that question first, it's not an apples to apples comparison. So Facebook measures a view based on a 3-second view. YouTube is a 30-second view. So if you're scrolling in your news feed and you see a video and you stop and watch it for 3 seconds, that counts. On YouTube, when your show is seen in YouTube, it only counts when somebody sees a portion of it. Not the whole thing, but a portion of it, I think up to 30 seconds. So today, if you go back 2.5 years ago, all of our work was done on YouTube, and Facebook has really gotten into the game. So it's blended fairly close to 50-50. YouTube is making many, many inroads, and Facebook's really going to make a horse race out of this. They're seeing where people are consuming content, but what are they consuming? And video formats are exploding. So we produce at BuzzFeed Motion Pictures, we're producing close to 100 pieces of content a month, 100 short form videos. We're experimenting in mid form and in long form as well. and also shorter than short form. So on Snapchat, which is a really big partner of ours, these are 7-second snaps that have to be condensed and really thought through. So the content is changing, and the attention span of these millennials is going, I think for all of us, is going way down.
So what's the relationship with Snapchat? Snapchat can be posted on BuzzFeed? Does it go the other way?
So they have channels. So they have a program that they call Discovery. So we're one of the channels on Discovery, and if a user clicks onto us, they get great content, and they also get advertising that either we sell or Snapchat sells. Today, it's mostly what we sell on our own channel.
Great advertising. Well, unfortunately, we've run out of time, but I have a question for you. Is BuzzFeed's business model the business model of the future of advertising? Greg Coleman, what's the answer?
It's certainly well on its way.
Well on its way. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you,
This
Jim.
has been absolutely marvelous. And thank you for coming by. Tune in next week for more conversations in the digital age. I'm Jim Zirin. All the best and good luck.